Hello, Violiners. Today we have a very special guest with us. He's one of the more outstanding and versatile violinists of the moment, Iskandar Widjaja. Welcome to Violiners.
Hi, nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm at home. This is my studio in Berlin, and I've been home for a while now, as
Yeah.
we all have probably.
Yes.
And no touring, no concerts, no traveling these days, but I try to stay productive.
Yeah, yeah. And for those who doesn't know you, let me present you a little bit. You are a German violinist. You are a classical violinist. You are a very good classical violinist. You have several classical CDs. You have played with great orchestras, with great conductors. But you also have another side that we like a lot in violiners because we like alternative violinists, and is that you also play pop, rock, hip hop, and your own compositions. And yeah, you make very cool shows with also very cool videos with dancing, with you also sing and everything. And yeah, how would you define what you do in music, like what you are as a musician?
Well, you put it perfectly already. So my background is definitely classical, and I had the traditional classical training in Berlin. And actually, the thing with the videos and the more, I would say, experimental crossover style was mostly last year, because last year we had a lot of cancellations and we suddenly had a lot of resources, a lot of time. And I decided to use the time in a way that I would create videos, and videos where I co-directed, where I was sometimes even acting or I was interacting with some other actors in the video. And I just try to be as free as possible and as creative as possible. So sometimes I would even sing and combine it with my violin playing. Sometimes I would dance and combine it with the violin playing. And I would put out originals, so my own compositions. Sometimes I would combine like hip hop beats with existent classical music and try to mash it up a little bit. And basically, I was just doing whatever I felt like last year and whatever pleased me and whatever urge I had to express myself in different ways. So that is the project that I started in 2020, and I'm planning to continue this year to bring out a single or music video every single month. So it's a very ambitious project. It's a lot of work, of course, to produce a single a month. But yeah, for me, it just makes me feel alive and makes me feel creative and in touch.
Yeah, well, very good, and the videos are amazing, like the production and everything. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. For people who haven't seen it, they should see them because it's
Yeah.
amazing. And yeah, let's go to the beginning. When did you start playing the violin? How did you start?
I started with the Suzuki Method. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I studied with Suzuki Method, and my both parents are Suzuki teachers. So, and
Wow.
I'm a Suzuki teacher, and I have the training. So,
Ah,
so
you're a
yes,
Suzuki teacher.
yes,
Okay. Well, I have four students right now, and they trained with the Suzuki Method. I took them over from my teacher, who is sick at the moment. So I was teaching four of her students, and they are trained the Suzuki way. So they play these pieces that everyone, I guess, knows, like
yes,
Fioco Allegro, Bach Double Concerto, and so forth.
yes, yes.
Um, yeah, so I was starting out with the Suzuki Method, and when I was 11, I remember I played the Méditation by Massenet for my teacher, which I learned over the summer just by myself, just by listening to the recording. And when I played it to her, she actually said, you know what, you should try for college already. Um, and I was really grateful, or am still grateful to her to this day, because she was doing this very, altruistic move to get me to the next level, not saying, okay, I keep you with me and I want you to be my student. No, you have to go to the professors at university in Berlin. So then when I was 11, I tried out auditions for the Hans Eisler Hochschule für Musik in Berlin. In Berlin, we have two colleges for music. We have the UDK in the west and the Hans Eisler in the east. So I tried out for the Hans Eisler when I was 11 and I got in. And from that age on, the training was much more serious and professionally oriented. So we had exams, we had to, practice scales, we had to follow a certain regime, a certain schedule, and participate in the youth competitions and so forth. But that is very a usual kind of pre-college education, I would say. And after I graduated high school, then I stayed in Berlin and I studied in the UDK, that's the other college in Berlin, and graduated in 2010. So that is my, I would say, the conservative background of my
Yeah,
undergrad.
and in the other side, like when you say that this year you have done more this
Yeah.
modern music thing, but in all that time you were studying younger, you already tried to play pops, to play other things.
Not really when I was younger. I was quite the serious kind of focused student, and actually my biggest role model back then was Midori Goto, the violinist, and I would watch her Carnegie Hall debut 100 times, and I could even speak with her the interview and the intermission. I could speak with her simultaneously. So many times I watched this, and so I was very much a traditional kind of student. But after I graduated from college, what I did was I tried sending out demos to labels, I remember, or to just one label. And then that label signed me and I released a CD. That was in 2011. And through this CD, I then got a management. But at the same time, I was going to Indonesia a little bit because I have family there. And Indonesian music scene has absolutely no classical tradition. There's almost no professional symphony orchestras. The orchestras they have, they're mainly the same players, but with different names of the orchestra. So,
Yeah,
and so it's a totally different scene there. And I was playing some recitals, I remember, in Indonesia, and I made an interview with a newspaper in Indonesia, and that interview was read by some clients. And suddenly I was approached to do a TV commercial then for a coffee company. And I was playing the Vivaldi Four Seasons in this commercial, the winter. And suddenly that was like a big boost in Indonesia for the violin, for classical music. And I remember that a lot of kids suddenly wanted to apply for music schools and learn violin because the commercial was running like crazy, I think 3 times per hour or so. And it was for coffee, but they used Vivaldi. And after that commercial aired, there were a lot of requests for me to perform, like on TV, on talk shows, on music shows. But what do you do when you perform on Indonesian TV? That people there are not really, I'd say, used or accustomed to classical music. So I would try and play like pop covers. And sometimes the staging of the show was very much like a show concert. So there was fire on the stage, and I sometimes had to fly through the air, and I mean, it was a little bit a crazy time. And of course, you cannot play Bach in this kind of
yeah,
circumstances where everyone is screaming and there's fire and so forth.
yeah.
So I tried and experiment a little bit there, and that was that. But I tried to keep it very separate from my European career back then, because I was afraid that it might affect it negatively. Nowadays, I have a very different mindset because I feel like it's all music and we should not separate too much between the genres. We should just do whatever we feel like we would like to express and find our own voice in music, and it doesn't matter so much which genre and which style. And in the end, it just matters that you're true to yourself.
Yeah, that's very much the spirit of violiners to join different musics, and it's all violin, it's all music. It's not
Yeah.
it's not a matter of style. Yeah, one of the questions I was going to do is that I had seen that you were very famous in Indonesia. That's because part of your family is from there, no?
Yes, part of my family is Indonesian,
It's
exactly.
Indonesian. Yeah, and yeah, I was going to ask you because it's not usual that a violinist is like on TV commercials and on these kind of things. Like, and I think that's very cool for the violin too, because it's like what you say,
Yeah.
like more children are learning violin, more people discover also that violin can be an enjoyable music to listen. Like they have more things to hear. And so the question is a little bit like but you said that it came like a little bit, but what was like the key for making the violin an instrument that arrives to people?
Hmm. So the violin, I think people know the violin more or less. I mean, people know it. I think just sometimes the form of classical music format can be scary to young generation because they feel uncomfortable in a very serious setting, I would say. So sometimes it's just the packaging that has to be different, not so much the music itself. Once I remember I played just a solo Bach concert in Indonesia, and the people have never heard the music before, but we made it much more like a relaxed setting, I guess. So sometimes I was talking to the audience, and it was not that they had to dress a certain way, everybody could come the way they are. And I think that definitely helps for the popularity of a classical concert setting. And I mean, our times are changing so fast, I see. So when you see the social media culture, um, everything is going to get shorter, and like a big visual attraction, but short. No one has patience anymore for longer.
Yeah.
So on the one hand, you can discuss and try to educate your audience or force the audience to listen to 40 minutes symphonies or whole violin concertos, or you can a little bit try to go with the flow and um, pick them up where they are right now. So sometimes I like to play programs of just shorter music, and for me it's also fun. So sometimes I would just do concerts with only encores that are 3 to 4 minutes long, and that can be super attractive. Um, Sometimes it feels a little bit like eating a whole box of just pralines or chocolate. So then after a while, I need a recital of, big sonatas, Brahms, Beethoven.
Yeah.
Then it feels a little bit more substantial. But for me, it's fun also to experiment with the format of the pieces because we do have short pieces in classical music that are a little bit more, I would say, duration-wise pop-oriented. Like, take, I don't know, Sarasate, Zapatiado, Kroll, Banjo and Fiddle. I don't know, Chrysler pieces, Liebeslied. These are actually like songs, and they are not so different from what we hear today on the radio, basically. And for me, I have to find like a balance because I see that the Instagram culture is very quick paced and quite superficial. So everything has to be right there, very attractive in the first seconds. And for my music, I need a little bit more patience, a little bit more time. I need at least, let's say, 3 minutes, 4 minutes that someone listens to get the clue of the music. So for me, actually, I try to focus more on YouTube because for me, that's the medium where people have actually more patience to look into it for, let's say, 3, 4 minutes instead of 10 seconds as on Instagram or even TikTok. I don't know. I don't understand this TikTok culture. For me, I feel like I'm already maybe too old for it. But to make like a funny video for 30 seconds, that is very hard to combine with classical music, I would say.
Yeah. And TikTok thing, I tried a little bit, and it's very difficult also to do something that it's meaningful and it's good in like too little time. And it's very difficult. But there is people that does interesting things. Maybe not in music, not that much, but there is people that can also compact things. But
exactly. What you just said exactly. I feel like the medium for a musician would be probably more YouTube than Instagram. Instagram is more like a visual medium, and if we want to be known for our music, probably it's not like the perfect medium. I would say I would focus more on YouTube then for music.
Yeah, it can be like an entrance door, like you were saying, like doing concerts that are more short, everything, and more easy to take. Can be the way to go there.
Of course, I try to combine the visuals in my videos as well. I try to look for stunning locations, in nature, or use like super epic drone shots, for instance.
Yes.
Or I try to, have like super exciting choreography on all these things. It's fun for me. I like to do it, and as long as it's fun for me, why not?
Yeah, of course. And now we were talking, now that we are talking about this thing of pop music and everything, we are talking more about the side of the audience, but about the side of the players, do you think that could be interesting to introduce these kind of styles of music, like modern music in general, to young classical students? That could be something interesting to have, like from a young age.
Yes, absolutely. I think young audience should be more free in their repertoire choice. Sometimes, and I think that the world is already changing. Sometimes you see like a competition program, and it's always the same. It's always like, okay, a Bach sonata, a Paganini caprice, a Mozart concerto, and so forth. And I see a big change now also in these competitions that the presenters give more freedom to the participants. Sometimes it's just like the time duration. You have to present a program of 40 minutes and you can choose freely. And I like that because everybody has different strengths and everybody has like different preferences also. And why does everyone have to play the same things equally good? I think that is not what the future is about. The future, I think, in music is more about individuals that have something personal to say. Because why would I buy a concert ticket for someone? Because I want to hear their personal take on the piece. It's not like I want to buy a ticket for a standard interpretation. That is not interesting for me. I want to go to see a person perform it their way and their personal way. And yeah, so absolutely, I think students should choose freely amongst their repertoire if they feel like they want to cover an Ed Sheeran song or make like a virtuosic, uh, transcription of. I see a lot of very talented young violinists these days putting out things on YouTube, Instagram of like pop song covers, and there's a little bit of a cliche that pop music is easier to play than classical music. Well, you can make it harder. Some people I see they make super acrobatic virtuosic variations on these things, and it's super challenging and fun to watch. So, and for instance, I released last year Hip Hop Symphony in October, and it's based on the suite by Christian Sinding. It's a super virtuosic neoclassic, neo-baroque showpiece. I think there's a stunning recording of iPads by this piece, and I added some hip hop beats, and it's super difficult to play. It's like a tempo which on the border of the playable. It's super fast. So the cliche of okay, anything that is modern with a beat with pop music is easy to play. I don't agree. I mean, everything can be done well, and everything can it needs a lot of effort and practice to do well.
And even if it's a pop song that is just easy to play, it doesn't have anything wrong to play something easy and just enjoy for a moment.
What's the point of music? The point of music is to reach your audience, to touch people, to let them forget for a moment the everyday life and dive into your emotional world. And I think if you do that justice with just a simple melody, that can be the most beautiful thing in the world. Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, now that we are talking about doing original things and talking about your own voice on the stage and everything, there's one thing that I've seen that you are doing, a project that I liked a lot, and it's the Bach, putting together Bach and Zen meditation.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that, because I'm very interested.
Yes. So the idea came to life when I met a Buddhist Zen master or Zen monk. Actually, he was in a monastery in Japan for many years and lived a very secluded life, very withdrawn from society. And I also, I'm a quite spiritual person. I mean, I had like on and off periods in my life where I would meditate and not meditate. And recently I found back to meditation, and that interests me a lot because as an artist, I always try to look for my um, inner world. Of course, I want to explore my inner world, and I want to achieve utmost clarity also when I'm on stage, and that helps me with the meditation. And this monk I met on actually a techno festival near Berlin, and he was holding a meditation workshop there. And I participated in the workshop, and I found it to be very fascinating because it was absolutely undogmatic in a way. He wouldn't say, you have to do that, you have to do that. He was more in the Zen mentality of everything is okay and don't judge it. Just perceive it the way it is, and this way your problems will ease because you don't try to force them. And he also was singing mantras, and I found his voice to be very soothing and beautiful. So we decided to make a collaboration. And in the beginning, it was just pure Bach and Zen. So I would play the partitas, the sonatas by Bach, and he would do mantras in between. And I found it to be very fitting because also Bach's music has this spiritual degree, this element of cleansing, and also like every note has its meaning in Bach, every note has its place. There's nothing superficial about it. There's nothing, no note you can omit. Everything is just reduced to the essence, I would say. And that is very much the Zen philosophy as well. So, and also I feel that there is a big hunger in audiences nowadays to be part of the performance and to take something home also from the performance, not just there's someone like a jukebox on the stage and press play and then we go home. No, the audience wants to be involved. They want to have an experience. So what we did with the Zen monk was we tried to have a little concentration session before the concert with the audience. So they would get into the zone, because most of the audience goers nowadays, they come maybe 10 minutes before the concert, they're still in their thoughts with their work, with other stuff. And in the beginning, when you come on stage and try to play for them, it's a little bit in the beginning like playing against a wall, I feel. And I wanted this wall to be gone already before I come on stage. So the Zen master was preparing the audience, was trying to have silence for a couple of minutes, make them focus, make them calm down, and be ready to, receive music also. It's a certain concentration state where you can receive music much more deep. And so whenever he did that session and I would come on stage, I already felt the audience was prepared and there was no wall anymore, and I could just be much more present in the moment. Because what is the concert about? It's about the presentness of the moment, that you, every note that you play, that you're really there and that you mean every note that you play and not think about anything else. For me, that is the meaning, the essence of the concert, that you can really go into such a deep concentration level that the moment becomes fulfilled, And so that was a big pleasure. And I actually plan to record an album this year for Bach and Zen. It's going to be a classical album again. So a couple of partitas, and also I did a arrangement of the toccata and fugue for organ, and this should be part of the CD. So that's my plan again for this year.
Yeah, it would be great. It would be great. I saw a video on YouTube that it's on your webpage, and also I was amazed to see how many people were like with the eyes closed, or like they were like thinking on the music more than usually when you go to a concert. What you say, you can be thinking on other things, but they look like very much listening and trying to feel it and be there. So that was like, I saw it and I said, wow, I want to go to one of those concerts. Yeah.
And the scene of spirituality and yoga or awareness, I would say in general, is a huge scene. And most of the people there are not really like classical music concert goers or listeners. So I experienced when I played for these kind of crowds that it was also the first time that they would listen to Bach, for instance. And that is also sometimes, it can be a magical encounter, and it can be very meaningful if you play for the first time Bach for people that never heard it, and they actually feel very touched by the music, because Bach's language is so universal. It doesn't matter if you are educated in classical music, if you have a background in classical music, or if you have no clue at all, the music can still reach you. And I think that just speaks for the greatness of Bach's music, that he can reach any kind of crowd.
Yeah, great. So that's amazing. That's amazing. I hope we can be in one of those concerts one day. Okay, so we go for like the little short questions, just going to the end. So just short questions. One of those is, who are your reference on the violin, like your favorite violinist?
As I said, when I was a young student, my absolute obsession was Midori Goto. I was obsessed with her. And recently I even got to have masterclasses with her and lessons. And she's just a fascinating, not only violinist, but also personality. She has 3 non-profit foundations where she brings music to the slums, and she has a PhD in psychology. So she's like a superhuman.
Wow. We'll have to interview her here. Yes, okay, we go for another one. And another referent in music, but not in violin, outside violin?
Well, I always say that Bach is my religion almost, because his music is not only music, it's a way of life, you know, because the music has this effect on you that is so balancing. It is invigorating and calming you down at the same time. So for me, every day one movement of Bach and I'm happy.
Yes, that's for sure. Yes, and any moment like that musically in your life, musically has like left a mark on you that you say, wow, that moment was important, or
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when I was 7 years old, I went to Italy with my Suzuki group. And we were playing, you know, in the ensemble and the Vivaldi concerto, and everyone had like a little solo.
yeah,
And I remember that it was the first time that I was playing on stage, and it was in a small town in Italy. It's called Celeno, and I had my little solo, and it just felt so amazing to be on stage and to perform and very natural. And after the concert, the mayor of the city came to me and he shook my hand. And I still
yeah,
remember that, and I felt so, you know, proud and big already.
yeah.
And I then decided, yeah, I want to become a violinist.
Oh,
And
great. Was that the World Convention of
no, it was a
2008?
total little private
Ah, okay. Yeah.
thing for children, and it was just, you know, for the children, it was such a nice experience to travel together
Mhm.
and to make music. And it was my friends from the Suzuki class, and my teacher organized it, and we had a super fun time. Not only violin, we would go to the beach, we would cook together, and then there was this concert, and I just had
Yeah.
this memory of my first performance, so to speak, and it felt so natural, and it was such a positive experience that I decided I want to become a violinist.
Yeah, great, great. Okay, one more. Like, what's like the last thing that you were surprised by in terms of music? Like the last thing that surprised you? You said, "Wow, new music or new whatever."
I follow quite a few interesting people on Instagram, and I found a guy that does Indian style fiddling on the violin. So they hold it a little bit in this way, and they do a lot of glissandi and very fast. They call it raga, the way, and it's a totally different technique from classical violin playing. Like they hold the violin lower, they do a lot of glissandi, they have a different tuning, they have different keys, and I found this to be so fascinating. It's like a new color, and I love that the violin offers so many varieties of styles of playing. I mean, the instrument is the same. They use the same instrument like we use, but the sound effect is so different, and I just love it.
Yeah, it's incredible in all the different parts of the world, the things they do with the violin. It's
Yeah,
completely incredible.
yeah.
Yes, and the last one for any, like, which are your projects for the future? What can we expect from you in the?
Actually, tomorrow I release a new single, or tonight on midnight,
Oh,
and it's the first time that I create a single without the violin. So I'm actually on the piano and I'm singing, and you see the violin, of course, in the video. And it's the vocal version of my single "Spirited Away," which I released March last year. And it has an actress in there, Luna Mayash, who is a very famous Indonesian actress. And this time I'm doing, and the original is purely instrumental, just violin. And this time I released a vocal version of this song. And so for March, I have already a single which is still secret. And I want to continue until, let's say, June, July with a single every month. So stay tuned, and you can follow me on the Instagram where there I will post obviously every month about the new single. And I plan to record a classical album Bach and Zen this year. So that is basically until half of the year what I plan. And after that, let's see if we can play live again. That would be my dream, of course. And I have a lot of projects in the pipeline how to incorporate these elements in the live performance. For instance, I'm collaborating with a DJ, ambient DJ, that plays nature sounds and mixes it with the violin, like birds, ocean sounds, and to create an effect on the audience that is absolutely relaxing and at the same time, you know, invigorating and making you feel alive and all these things. So yeah, I plan to
yeah.
continue that for the live.
Wow, very interesting, very interesting. Yeah, you're one of those persons who pushes the violin to new things, and that, yeah, I'm very happy to have been able to talk with you, and it's been very interesting. So yeah, that's all. So if you want to see more interviews like this and everything, you can subscribe to the channel, follow us on Facebook. You can follow him also, of course, on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And that's all. See you in the next video.